Welcome back, you sexy crypto degenerates. Guys, today's video is going to be about lending and borrowing, how to monetize the crypto you already own, how to use the crypto you already own as collateral to borrow and take out a loan, whether it's for a car or a medical bill, taxes, or even open and leverage yourself in other DeFi positions. Guys, let's break it down. First off, introducing lending here, guys. We have protocols like Aave or Navi, where you would just literally go and deposit tokens and earn interest passively. And so guys, that's gonna look like this, right? Like look over here, Ethereum. And some Bitcoin, right? I have a little bit of Ethereum over here. I say a little bit. I was gonna say Bitcoin first. I have a little bit of Bitcoin over here. You can see $96 earning 0.05% APY. Nothing insane. And I have, 12 grand of Ethereum over here earning 2% a year. So that's nothing crazy either, but it is APR I'm making. I'm keeping my money moving every day, which is one of our rules. Keep your money moving. But what I'm doing is I'm borrowing USDC against my ETH, and I'm using this to run and open other DeFi positions. Now, that is something I'm choosing to do. I trade like a business loan, right? I'm using this to borrow this at 5%, and this is making me even more than 5%. I'm making 5% a month at least off this. So guys, that's what I'm running there. But it doesn't have to stop there. You could be using this loan to pay an emergency medical bill because you believe in crypto long term. So just because you broke your leg because you don't drink enough fucking milk doesn't mean you're going to sell your Ethereum or Bitcoin. It means that you're not going to take out a loan against those to pay for your broken leg because you're soft. And you can pay this back later with even just the profits of ETH pumping. Guys, you can pay for your broken leg with this, and then when ETH doubles in price back to 4K, this 12K will be 24K. And then you can pay back the loan with that. And that's kind of the thesis here, right? You can be your own bank and borrow against your own assets, is kind of the whole thesis here. Now, it's worth noting like here, right? The Coinbase Wrap Bitcoin, you're not earning a super juicy APR. Like it's literally 0.05% a year. And that's APY, which means it's compounding. So it's even worse than 0.05. But it's still letting you monetize this Bitcoin by borrowing against it. So you're able to use it as collateral is what I mean by that. If you're able to take this borrowed capital right here for 5% and plug it in a liquidity pool, it can do even 60 to 80% a year. I treat this like a business loan that's just pumping me more money each and every day, right? So even though I'm not making much off the lending side, because I'm borrowing and putting that into a business move, I am effectively monetizing this BTC at that 60, 80%, right? Which technically, if you want to get super autistic with it again, we're borrowing at 50%-ish, so the 80% you're making is kind of like making 40% off this, but that's still better than 0.05. So guys, don't mind how my brain works here. I'm just overthinking what's new. But guys, lending and borrowing strategies. So borrow stablecoins using volatile assets, which is what I was just showing you, right? Where it's you deposit your Bitcoin, you can borrow USDC against it. Use those stablecoins elsewhere, whether it's a liquidity pool or you can loop them. And by that, I mean you can like lend it somewhere else where stablecoins are paying better. And then always keep your collateral ratio healthy, right? Which is just, you want to track your scores here. You just want to look at the details here. So like liquidation value would be 1.0, right? I'm at a 2.05, right? So I'm twice as big as I can be. You don't want it to go below that. And you can see here, the max LTV that I have for the liquidation threshold here is, guys, so you can see here too, my current loan to value ratio is like less than 40%. So I'm borrowing less than 40% of what I'm supplying. And the most I can borrow is 73%, which again, I'm at 40%. So I'm not even close to my max, but liquidations won't happen until 78%. So guys, I am absolutely chilling so far away. Bitcoin needs to like get cut in half for me to even get worried or concerned, basically. Cool. Arbitrage and looping. Borrow, then deposit again. That's what looping is, right? So what I could do if I wanted to, one option would be like, okay, I deposit Bitcoin, I borrow this USDC, I swap this USDC to more Bitcoin, and I deposit that Bitcoin, and I borrow more USDC, and then I swap that to Bitcoin, and then I deposit more Bitcoin, and you just keep that loop going. And what you're trying to do is just leverage yourself up to more Bitcoin exposure. A different strategy for that could be something like, let's say on Sui Network, okay? What we could do is we could find, for example, this VSUI, right? Earning 5%. So you can see that it already gets a native staking yield of 2%. So what you're doing is you're depositing VSUI and it's earning 5%. And then you borrow SUI, which depending on the borrow rate will mean if it's effective or not. But borrowing SUI, you can see that you actually are incentivized to borrow. So you're borrowing SUI for essentially free. You're getting paid by negative 3%. So you're getting paid 0.3% to borrow SUI. You swap it to VSUI, and then you lend that VSUI back out again for 5%. So basically you're getting a free loan on more SUI, and you're depositing more VSUI, and you're just amping up that 5% to the point where off your initial capital, you're cranking that more towards 10, 15, 20%, right? Because you are depositing VSUI, borrowing SUI for free, and then cranking it. You're just levering yourself up. So pretty neat concept, actually, not gonna lie. It's just you gotta take a little bit of work and effort to actually do the looping process. So it's actually not as hard as I'm making it sound. Use multiple loops for more yield. Exactly, that's what I was just saying, where you could deposit VSUI, you borrow SUI, switch to VSUI, supply more of that VSUI, borrow more SUI, swap it to VSUI, supply more VSUI, you literally just keep looping it right here. On this example right here, I just have boring SUI lent out, just because it's not being touched right now. High risk, yeah, the more you lever yourself up, the more they can go wrong. So you wanna make sure your, health factor is perfect, right? You wanna just make sure that nothing is going to go wrong. You wanna watch this, you wanna keep it healthy. The more times you're looping, basically the closer you're getting towards that liquidation risk, because you're gonna be having a lot more debt. And then if Bitcoin does go down in price on this example, for example, that's going to affect you a lot faster because you have a lot more debt. Looping is definitely a pretty good strategy that you can implement before a big price pump on something like, if you're, borrowing stable coins against your Bitcoin, lever yourself up pretty damn good there before a pump. Not too shabby. And so guys, just make sure you're never borrowing more than 50, 60% of your collateral. Repay or top up before price drops. So guys, if you're doing this at those bottoms I'm talking about, we're at the bottom, Bitcoin's 74K, you're levering up, doing strategies. When price pumps, gets high, pay yourself first. Take some profits, pay back your loans, or at least just take profits and hold on the side, lend it somewhere higher APR than your loan is. But my point just being, make sure you pay yourself first. This is a loan, so you will owe this money. If not, they're gonna fucking take your Bitcoin to pay it back one day when it's, gets margin called, which hopefully never happens. But just keep in mind, look at your health factors here. Keep your liquidations safe, 40% out of almost 80% basically. So like I'm chilling, Bitcoin can drop in freaking half and I'm literally fine. So guys, don't lever yourself to the point where if Bitcoin goes back to 75K, you're fucked, is my point. And as you go down the risk spectrum towards like Ethereum or Solana or SUI, you should be even more conservative. I like to keep that around that 30% mark. I think it's safer. And then, as the assets appreciate, your ratio will get better. It will start to look better, but just don't over leverage. Leverage is the only thing that'll kill you for good. It's like when you're day trading. Once you get liquidated, boom, it's over. So don't get liquidated, guys. But just to show you worst case, what does happen if you do get liquidated, let's say, it hits the 78% liquidation threshold, let's see, let's pretend it's like on ETH, for example, right? If it hits the 83% on ETH, they're going to basically take the ETH I supplied to pay back the USDC loan, and I'll pay a 5% penalty. So it's not like you lose all your money, but you will be paying your ETH at whatever price to pay back the loan, and is a 5% penalty. So if you put 10 grand in, it's like 500 bucks, right? So worth noting, just don't get liquidated. It's not worth it. Just play it safe, play it right. Sweet, that is all I have today for lending and borrowing basics there. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me a DM, drop me a comment down below, like the video, subscribe for me. Guys, if you want to join my private community on the inside, get the inside scoop, get one-on-one help building your perfect DeFi portfolio, click the link in my description. We have over 100 members inside earning $10,000, $15,000 per month. If that's interesting to you, click the link, check it out, see if it's for you. If it is, see you on the other side. If not, see you in the next video.